like NASCAR? Do you like A Tribe Called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative. Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative.
If you're a little over Cardi B and you're repulsed by the thought of Hogmaw, check out the Urban Conservative. You ready? If you think the earth is flat and always on that weird side of YouTube, check out the Urban Conservative. They'll set you straight.
If you're in a chasing dopey and you love South Fish and Festival, check out the Urban Conservative.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It is top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, rocking out with you this morning. As you can see, we got a lot to get to. If you haven't done so already, tuconservative.com is the website to go to support what we do. Our mission is to share conservative values and principles, as well as the benefits of conservative policies to urban communities. We do that through the Top of the Morning podcast, the Urban Conservative podcast. We also be out in them streets, and in a major way. We got to give a big shout out to my twin brother from the same mother, no other, Raheem Soto, who is running for Suffolk County Legislative District 2. So not only, ladies and gentlemen, do we host this podcast and run this platform, we also are in the fight running for office. It is soto4suffolk.com. If you live out in the Legislative District 2 or you're out in New York and Suffolk County, go give that website a look-see, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, we got a lot to get to. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about this morning, and this is really, really interesting, folks, because Karine Jean-Pierre has gone down as probably, and I don't know, maybe probably is not the right word, but she has gone down as the worst press secretary in history. The absolute worst press secretary in history. Full on, well, depends. If you're a Democrat, she was the best press secretary in history because she didn't bat an eyelash as she spat out the lies of the Democrats and Joe Biden. She did not bat an eyelash, ladies and gentlemen. So here's what you got going on. This coming from Axios. Biden world is actually, and the Democrats are going scorched earth on her. She's releasing a book. Former press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre announced yesterday that she's written a book about a broken Biden White House and what she sees as the betrayal of the former president by the Democrat Party. Many of her former colleagues think the face of the White House for more than 2 years was a major part of the problem, according to interviews with more than 24 former Biden officials. Now, her book is called Independent, A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines. That's an interesting title, but I'll share with you guys what we're looking at here. And Axios is the ones who got this story up. The fighting is part of a larger post-election angst and grievances amid new reporting about how Biden staff tried to hide his physical and mental decline during his presidency. Now, part of the problem is you have people like Bill Clinton coming out saying, oh, I didn't see anything wrong with him. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see that Bill Clinton interview. Do we really believe anything that Bill Clinton says? I mean, honestly, do we really take anything that Bill Clinton says to be a fact? I mean, come on. But the other thing that you got to look at here is that this is a continuance of the Democrats falling apart. Now, one former White House official who worked closely with Jean-Pierre told Axios that she was one of the most ineffective and unprepared people she's ever worked with. She had meltdowns after interview that asked about a topic not sent over by producers. Quote, she didn't know how to manage a team, didn't know how to shape or deliver a message, and often created more problems than she solved. Another former Biden communications official threw more wood on the fire, saying, quote, the hubris of thinking you can position yourself as an outsider when you not only have enjoyed the perks of extreme proximity to power, which bestows the name recognition needed to sell books off your name, but have actively wielded it from the biggest pulpit there is as breathtaking as it is desperate. It's difficult to see how this is anything but a bizarre cash grab. One more White House former official familiar with the dynamics told Axios that the amount of time that was spent coddling Jean-Pierre and appeasing her was astronomical compared to our attention on actual matters of substance. So what you got to take from this, folks? What you got to look at and what you got to take from this is nothing more than a cash grab. And I mean, look, let's be honest, the Democrat Party is collapsing right before our very eyes. You have the lowest approval rating, you have the AOC and Jasmine Crockett are fastly becoming the face and leaders of the Democrat Party. They're going further and further left. And as we talk about this next story, you're going to see how judges that were appointed by Biden are doing everything possible to legislate from the bench, be president from the bench. But this is nothing more than a Democrat cash grab, just like Cory Booker's Spartacus 24-hour speech was nothing more than an attempt to pander to go after a fundraising cash grab. And you got to think, someone like this, who's buying this book? I don't know. Y'all get in the comments. Let us know. Are you buying the Karine Jean-Pierre book? I'm not buying it. I don't think we're going to buy it. Now, despite longstanding internal frustration with Jean-Pierre's performance since she took over as press secretary in mid-22, Biden aides largely stayed silent because she was seen as untouchable. Now, remember, she is the ultimate DEI hire. She's, I don't know what the word queer is supposed to mean. I'm not even putting that in my Google search engine. But she's Black, she's Haitian, she's a woman, she's queer. And so she's supposed to be the first, all of these things to be the press secretary, when in reality, I think she was just someone that would be willing to get up there and say whatever they told her to say, right? That's just the bottom line. But like I said, the left is going a little too far. We're going to talk a little bit about those judges and what's happening on the back end of this. But this is a symptom of a bigger problem. You're seeing the Democrats lose people left and right. There's some more of that happening across the country. You just saw in Oklahoma, a House rep left the Democrat Party. In Texas, people are leaving the Democrat Party. So I think it's on the way out. But we're going to come back on the other side of this quick commercial break. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with some of these judges. Y'all don't go nowhere. It's top of the morning right here on the Urban Conservative. Don't move. Carry Discount and Capital Appliance Repair is your trusted partner for appliance repairs and home services. When you're dealing with a malfunctioning refrigerator, dishwasher, washer, or dryer, we have the expertise to keep you running smooth. Visit us online or call 919-468-5860 today for Carry Discount and Capital Appliance Repair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, rocking out with you this morning. We are talking about Karine Jean-Pierre leaving the Democrat Party, and we've got a couple of things to talk about with these rogue judges. Now, you've got to know, right? You've got to know that these judges and the two judges you see on your screen are the ones that we're talking about here. One, the judge orders Trump administration to maintain gender-affirming care for transgender inmates. Now, here's the problem that you have with this, right? I don't care if you're a grown man and you want to chop off your bean and Franks, have at it. your Franken beans, have at it, bro. You wanna cut open your chest and put some booty meat in there and grow yourself some boobs, have at it. I don't care. But what I do care about is number one, you are in federal prison, and federal prison is usually reserved for people who have done something highly deserving of being there. The second thing is, if it's not life saving, I don't think the taxpayer, I don't want my tax dollars, and y'all get in the comments, let us know. Do you want your tax dollars to be funding transgender surgery in prisons? I would think not. I would think that most people would find that not something that should be happening in a federal prison. The judge's ruling is the first to broadly block federal prison officials from carrying out Trump's executive order targeting finger quote gender ideology. This story coming again from Politico, so, take it with a grain of salt. But a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to continue providing gender-affirming care to hundreds of transgender prison inmates, ruling that an abrupt decision to curtail their medical care was not based on any, quote, reasoned analysis, as the law requires. U.S. District Court Judge Royce Lamberth previously ordered the Bureau of Prisons to continue to provide medical care to several individual prisoners who are transgender, but his ruling Tuesday is the first that broadly blocks federal prison officials from carrying out an executive order. How in the hell does a district court judge, a federal district judge, get to tell a federal agency what to do? Where in the Constitution does it say that a federal judge, you see Big Porky Porkston on your screen down bottom left, that's Judge Lambert. Where does it say that in the Constitution that federal judges can tell a federal agency what to do? I'll wait. I can't find anywhere in the Constitution where it says federal judges have the right. Your whole sole job is to determine the constitutionality of legislation and decide disputes between the legislature and the executive branch. There's nothing that says you get to tell or you get to be an executive from the bench. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that, unless I'm mistaken, unless I'm misreading something. But to go on further about this, the Lambert said that his parsing of Trump's order, which did not appear to leave such wiggle room, amounted to a fabricated distinction. Okay. Amid a torrent of lawsuits, prison officials interpreted Trump's order to allow transgender inmates to continue to receive medication unrelated to care, such as relieving anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. That led to about 600 transgender inmates continuing to receive gender-affirming care, while about 400 were denied. Quote, neither the Bureau of Prisons, nor the executive order provides any serious explanation as to why the treatment modalities covered by the executive order should be handled differently than any other mental health intervention. Well, that's a little telling, this quote from the judge there, because now we're saying that this is a mental health issue. That and anybody with common sense could have told you this is a mental health issue, that anybody who was born a boy and thinks he wants to be can change into a woman, that's a mental health issue. Anybody would know that. But let's also look at this. Okay, I want to share something. This is what I want to get at here, because what you're doing ultimately, right? Ultimately, is you're putting people's lives in danger, not just the people who are going through the transgender issue, but women, actual women. I'm just going to sit that right there. New Jersey trans prisoner impregnated 2 inmates, transferred to a men's facility. I'm going to just sit that right there. Okay. Demi Minor, 27, was transferred from New Jersey's only women's prison to the vulnerable housing unit at a men's facility. For doing what? For getting 2 women, pregnant. Okay. Now, what you're going to have to tell me is that boy right there can turn into a woman. Okay. That's what you're going to tell me. You're going to tell me that you can't look at this person and tell me they got something mentally going on. Okay. That is a huge issue. You understand what I'm saying? Humongous issue. Now, the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, is on this transgender issue that the judges are going too far. Right? Trump has a mandate. You saw how effective that commercial was against Kamala Harris. American people do not want their taxpayer dollars funding transgender surgeries for prisoners. They don't want it. This is a prime example of people legislating from the bench. Now, the second part of this, and you see the guy on the right, y'all know who that judge is on the right, okay? That's another example, because what you have going on here is people have snuck into our country multiple times, broken the law, and came into our country illegally. They avoided due process coming in. Now, Judge Boasberg wants these people to get due process on the way out. Okay? Federal judge ordered the Trump administration to give hundreds of men deported to El Salvador in March under the Alien Enemies Act the right to challenge their detentions as unlawful. In a 69-page order issued Wednesday, Judge James Boasberg gave the Trump administration until June 11th to come up with a plan to allow the men currently detained in El Salvador's notorious CCOT mega prison to practice their due process right. Quote, in short, the government must facilitate the class's ability to seek habeas relief to contest their removal under the act. Exactly what facilitation must entail will be determined in future proceedings, wrote the judge. Now, remember, the president of that country has said no, okay? And the other question is, or what? If Trump and the Trump administration decides not to do this, what are you going to do? That's the question. You've decided. Now, how do you enforce? Okay, that's the million-dollar question. If Trump doesn't do it, then what? What exactly do you propose to do? What are you proposing to do if the Trump administration says we're not going to do that? Why do these people get due process when they avoided due process in the first place? Also, you can go to the Urban Conservative Facebook page. You can look at our videos, and you can see case after case after case after case of people who were led into this country by the Biden administration, who were given a wave of a magic wand to come into our country. You can look at case after case of these folks that do not deserve to be in our country. Period. They don't deserve to be here. So the question remains, what is the judge going to do if the Trump administration decides we're not going to pay attention to that? We're not going to do that. We're not going to give people who came into our country illegally access to our courts to use up taxpayer resources, when in reality, this is an executive function. There's no reason, absolutely no reason, that we should foot the bill as taxpaying citizens for people to be in our country illegally. There's no reason for us to foot that bill. There's no reason these people deserve to file habeas corpus. These are rights that are reserved for citizens. So are we going to say now these people are citizens? Meanwhile, you have Chinese immigrants, some folks trying to sneak biological pathogens into the country. You've got 84% of people that are polled in this recent poll are backing up Trump's play. You got all of this stuff happening, and this guy wants to give more illegals rights to use our court system. Well, I'm against it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take one last commercial break. We're going to come back and talk about this rift between Elon Musk and the Trump administration. Y'all don't go nowhere. It's top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Urban Conservative Podcast, where we do not believe that avocado toast can save the planet or the world will end, because cars use gasoline. You won't hear that Wi-Fi is a basic human right, or that billionaires are secretly supervillains. Here, we do not believe that electric cars run on hopes and dreams. You also won't hear that anyone who disagrees with us is a fascist, or that socialism will make everyone rich. You won't be gender affirmed or offered any opportunity to share your preferred pronouns. If this causes you any discomfort, please rest assured that we couldn't possibly care less. For everyone else, thank you, and please stand by.
My fellow Americans, it's time for the Urban Conservative Podcast. This is without a doubt the best podcast on the internet. It's about to go down here on the Urban Conservative.
3, 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back. It's top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, rocking out with you. Last thing we're going to talk about this morning real quick is Elon Musk and Trump going back and forth at it. Elon Musk is going scorched earth, hitting out at President Trump's tax and spending bill again on Wednesday, calling on Americans to tell their representatives to kill the bill. The budget, which includes huge tax breaks and more defense spending, was passed by the House last month and is now being considered by senators. The tech billionaire posted on X earlier this week that the bill would add to the U.S. budget deficit and saddle Americans with crushing debt. On Tuesday, he described it as a disgusting abomination and widening rift between the two. The bill has the backing of President Trump and would be the legislative linchpin of his second term if it passes in Congress. Quote, shame on those who voted for it, said Musk on Tuesday, hinting that he may try to unseat the politicians responsible at next year's midterm elections. By every honest metric, Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill dramatically improves the fiscal trajectory of the United States and unleashes an era of unprecedented economic growth. That is a statement that was released. It makes no mention of Musk or his tweets. The thing also that people have to consider is that, and that's the beauty of our side of the aisle, is we're allowed to disagree. You know, I don't know if there is a way to say this politely, but we have a $35 trillion deficit. To add more to it is not tenable. But the American people also need tax relief. Okay, this big, beautiful bill is set to do some amazing things for the American people. So we'll see what changes get made. And I know Trump has come out and said he wants the Senate to make what necessary changes they need to get this bill over the hump. You also had Republicans coming out saying that the bill won't pass. Hold on, I'll get it. Hold on, because I think he was from Oklahoma. Hold on, Senator Ron Johnson. That's who it was. Ron Johnson said he can't accept it. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin, is saying that the bill will not pass. On Wednesday, he blasted the bill as immoral and grotesque and reiterated that he will vote against it unless his colleagues make major changes. Quote, this is immoral. What us old farts are doing to our young people, end quote, Johnson said on Squawk Box yesterday. Now, I don't know, I don't know what changes are going to come out of it, but I would highly suggest that we deal with our national debt. To be $35 trillion in debt. I don't know if any of y'all have actually taken the opportunity to look at the national debt counter, right? Hold on, I can pull it up. Hold on. There you go. There it is. The U.S. debt national clock. Here you go in real time. So as you can see, we're at $36,939,663,000,000 and counting. That's our actual U.S. debt clock. So, if this bill doesn't do anything to address that rising debt, I know we're trying to do things with savings. I know they're trying to get some of those Doge cuts codified, but that is one of the biggest national security threats we have is our U.S. national debt. And I don't think we can afford to add another 5 or 6 trillion. So hopefully they're going to work it out in the Senate. Hopefully they'll make changes that'll put this thing into play so that we can end up getting a bill, some tax relief for the American citizens. But let us know what you think. Get in the comments. Karine Jean-Pierre left the Democrat Party. Are you going to buy the book? Do you think the judges are going too far? And we'd be interested to hear your take on Elon Musk going against Trump in the Big Beautiful Bill. As always, you can check us out at tuconservative.com. Follow us on all our social media. tuconservative.com is the website to support the Urban Conservative. You can do that on Cash App. You can do that on Venmo and everywhere else you see it flashing across the bottom of your screen. Make sure you join us each and every Monday night for the Urban Conservative Podcast. Y'all have a positive and productive rest of your day. Peace and love, everybody.